I'm Obi, and this is Ed, and we are drinking from the Garden Hose, your favorite podcast. Of course, you can find us wherever podcasts are distributed, wherever you get yours, whether it's Spotify. We're not taking a debate, a position in the Rogan versus Young. We're here, whether it's Apple, whether it's Samsung, and wherever you are, rate us, like us, follow us, subscribe, get that automatically downloaded. We're quickly becoming one of the highest rated comedy podcasts out there, and it's not really anything to do with me. It's all thanks to my partner, Ed. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing great. And Obi, a couple things. First off, Spotify. As soon as you said Spotify, I think we might move up from top 1,000 comedy podcasts to maybe 999 because Neil Young's gone. So maybe we get some love there. But no, I'm doing great. And I think everyone wants to hear about my doctor's orders from the last podcast, right? Got to stop drinking. Apparently, well, not stop, but I had to cut it down. Let's just say last weekend, some good football games, and my doctor would not be happy with me. So I failed, but I'm going to do better this weekend, I think.
Well, at least there won't be any football on Saturday, so you'll be spared. Saturday. This was for football fans, and I know we don't have a lot of. Not everyone's a sports fan here. This was a great weekend for football, without a doubt, one of the best in recent memory.
Yeah, so you're right. But Obi, I've been thinking. We've done some really good topics. We're top 1,000 comedy podcasts right now, and we got away from maybe our bread and butter. Whatever happened to. So, Obi, whatever happened to the whatever happened to segment?
I'm not sure, but I have a great whatever happened to story that came up. Before we started this podcast, I had a frozen left shoulder, which just means your shoulder just stops working. There's no degeneration. It's some sort of sciencey biology stuff.
Are you a lefty or a righty?
I am a righty. So
okay,
they fixed
so it's not what I thought it was. It jammed up your shoulder.
No.
Okay.
As soon as this shoulder got healed, though, it started happening to my right shoulder. So, and then on top of that, I fell off my bike. I mountain bike, so it's not like some wimpy fall. I hit a jump and went over the handlebars, and I smashed my forearm. My right shoulder had zero mobility, or just about. I couldn't lift my arm up, out, or anything. I was in immense pain, and I said to the doctor, "I think it's the frozen shoulder coming back, or it could be the fall. And can we set up an appointment?" He says yes, and he goes, "And if it's too painful and you need to get meds, you can go to the ER or to what's that, urgent care." And I said, "Well, he just told me I should take opioids, so I figure I'm in New Jersey. The laws are changing. Instead of opioids, I'd go back to something I haven't done in a long time, and I'd score some old people herbal pain meds, which everyone in the 55 plus community has, and get myself some weed." So call around to some people. Eventually, I end up calling up a younger guy. Much younger, 21 years old. And he's like, "Oh, I got you something. I'll bring you a cone." A cone, I say? He says a cone. So what a cone is, it's literally a piece of paper that's pre-rolled, and you just fill it up, and then you twist the top. So I want to know whatever happened to a joint. There's no licking on this thing. There's no watching the guy get up that whole thing all dirty. You're like, do I want to share that in these COVID times? No, none of that. They just fill it up almost like a bowl, twist the top. Whatever happened to the good old American joint, Ed? Can't get it anymore.
So I did not know we were going down this road. This might get us up to top 975. I gotta think, right? We might also be on the herbal podcast list, but I'm not sure whatever happened to the joint. But I will tell you this: I like a couple years ago, I was at a travel basketball tournament with my daughter, and we stayed in this hotel. Just so happened the hotel was right next to a dispensary in Massachusetts. And I kid you not, like Saturday morning, the line was out into the street. I mean, the line must have been 200 people long. I kid you not. But they're all buying gummy bears, right? So the cone, I don't even know what a cone is, but gummy bears, that's what everyone buys. So yeah, I don't know what happened to the joint, but it's a great question. And I'm thinking that our buddy Cherry might know where whatever happened, We'll find out, though.
He might. I mean, not because he's partaking, but his job probably brings him across some of that.
Yeah.
But the biggest, I've kind of gotten the pain back down to almost to manageable day to day. So it really was falling off my bike that hurt my shoulder. But the biggest thing is now I can't even do old man lifting in the gym in my basement anymore. So I hurt the shoulder. It's repaired enough where I can move it. No one's on video, but you can see it's got full range of motion. I can't bench press like 35 pounds anymore without it hurting. So I got to get to the PT, but I'm telling you, it's bad enough the weights I'm doing now. I don't know about you. I do know about you. We did hit the gym a few times when we were younger. You used to throw on as many plates as you can. Get 3 people to try to spot you when you're benching. You're doing 3 reps. That's it. Grunting as loud as you can to impress everybody. And now it's like, I'll just put a couple of quarters on there, use the Smith machine and do 25 reps. I don't know. It's getting old. Really affects that gym cred.
So the whole working out thing, right? So you bring up some great points. First of all, I think it's hilarious that that you have a gym in your basement. You're using quarters, but that's awesome. But here's the thing: like when we were younger, right? You went to the gym. It was all about getting bigger, right? So you had your GNC membership. Yeah, you got the creatine. You got the protein powders. You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna get fat, right? Or I'm gonna get big. But really, what you were doing is getting fat, but eating all that stuff. But and then you would go exactly what you're right. But you remember Friday Night Pump? You would go and like, I'm gonna go out tonight, so I'm gonna go get pumped up before I go see the ladies. That was always very successful, wasn't it?
Oh, that was no, because by the time you showered off afterwards, you were depumped, but you felt like you did something. Yeah, that was the dumbest thing there was. Like 12 guys leaving the gym together, thinking they're going to go score. Instead, they got to go home and shower.
So there, like when you get older, happy hour is like a thing, right? You go out to the bar between 5 and 6. That's like a thing when you're like in your 30s, late 20s. But when you're in college, and maybe in the mecca of like the Guido capital of the world, New Jersey, right? So you go to college in New Jersey, 5 o'clock on a Friday at the gym. Jesus, is that crowded, right? Every guy in there, guinea teas, trying to get their pump on, right? I mean, tell me that's not the most crowded time of the gym at Rutgers University.
Oh my God! I used to go with our friend Crab. So I mean, I was trying, but he was succeeding. So it was always embarrassing to be there on Friday night with him because he was showing it with all the other guys in his string cheese with the nipple hanging out. Absolutely.
So you always knew like you were not in the right league if you went to the gym with a guy and like he was buddies with all the other big guys. Like big guys hang out together, and you think you're hanging out with a big guy, so you're a big guy, but then you like realize who he's talking to, and then when they come over to talk to him, they don't even mention you. Like, so you're like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm getting the pump on, buddy. I'm gonna go out tonight. I'm gonna go Old Queens. Got the pump. But you're right. The pump is gone by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. When you go out, the pump is gone. So early in the days, I'm going to brag, right? We're top 1,000 podcast. I put up 300 pounds once. I can tell you right now, Obi, that ain't happening. When you get old, first of all, I wouldn't even try it because I might get hurt and then I couldn't work. And like, that would suck. So who the hell lifts 300 pounds? Why would you do that?
Oh, yeah, I know it. My favorite is I have a buddy, 10 years our junior, maybe 15, just had a kid. When I met him, he was a power lifter. And he's a huge dude. And as of very recently, he was picking up 700 pounds on his deadlift. I don't know what he's doing with 700 pounds. He's got a 15-pound baby. That's all you need to be able to lift up, buddy. And he got punished for that. God got him and tore his bicep tendon, his arm. Yeah, it was horrific. Now he's like, yeah, I learned my lesson. He's still saying ridiculous numbers, but when you know where he came from, you're like, yeah, you're right. I deadlift 120, 130 pounds. Like I said, 17, 18 reps, do what that's it. None of this craziness anymore.
Yeah, so again, younger, all it was about lifting heavy weights. It was no cardio, right? Because
Sure.
cardio actually might burn calories that could build muscle, right? So screw that. No cardio, all weights. And now, I'm at the ripe old age that I am at. And then you got like, so it changes, and we'll get to that in a second. But the other thing that cracks me up at this age, he's got like the 35-year-old guys that work, maybe even the 40-year-old guys who really it it hasn't gotten real for them yet, right? It hasn't hit them. So they
They're
talk
just
smack to
holding
you.
on. The Tom Brady's of the world.
Yeah. They they talk smack to you. They're like, "Oh, you gonna go do the elliptical today?" Ho 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 ho. Like they're so freaking funny. At the end of the day, like they're gonna be old soon too. Their knees aren't gonna work, their shoulders aren't gonna work, and they're gonna be on the bike right next to me checking work email.
Absolutely. I tried to pick up running, uh, inspired a little bit by one of your closer friends, seeing how far he runs. And I went and I was like, oh, I got shoes, and then they're like, oh no, you can't just get shoes, you got to get insoles. I'm like, this is crazy. Just put me on the bicycle, and I'll spin and watch the ball game and talk to my wife and who's ever next to me, and I'll do it for 40 minutes and call it a day. This craziness of running, and the new one is the rowing machine. Everything on my feed is all about the rowing machines, which I think is probably a little lower impact, but that looks like some pulling that you really got to do. You would know better than I do. I'm sure you guys got some at work.
Listen, at the end of the day, your feed being filled up with the rowing machine is still better than your feed being filled up with a Wordle. But we'll get to that in another episode. That freaking craziness. But so let's get back to the running thing, right? So when I was 39 and I was about to turn 40, I set myself a goal that I was going to run a half marathon, and I actually ran 2 half marathons when I was 40, and I ran 2 when I was 41. And then when I was 42, I got hurt and I stopped running and I haven't gone back. So going back to these young bucks, right? So again, I was one of them. I guess I was 40. I was probably making fun of my 50-year-old boss. Freaking guy at work says to me the other day, when do you work out? I'm like, listen, buddy, I work out plenty. I walk the dog every morning, right? I mean, that shit's real. First of all, it's 26 degrees out in the morning. So, shivering burns calories. I don't know if people realize that, but shivering burns calories. I walk that dog. We walk briskly, except for when he, has to do his
He
business.
risks.
Then we stop, right? But that counts. Like, Joe, look at your watch afterwards. You get some major steps with that. And as I told the guy, and I ride the bike every day, when I'm checking my work email. So I don't understand how people can tell me I don't work out. I work out plenty.
Well, in your place of work, I really think that what people call working out is a little more old school. I mean, they sing about working out at your place of work, whereas my place of work, the standing desk is considered a workout.
Yeah. Listen, that's a healthier option than sitting on your ass all day. So we'll talk about work real briefly. So I do work in, we could say, some days I work in the childcare industry and other days I work in the fitness industry. And I got a story that I think just will blow your mind. So anytime you're in the service industry, you deal with different people, right? And there's always something, right? So I got a couple things I gotta share with you. So my first job, I was a fitness director, and there was this guy who came in to work out every day, like no shirt, no shoes, no service, right? So this guy came in, he had shirt and shoes on, but his freaking shirt was like fishnet, like really large fishnet. You talked
Like
about yeah, like
like 51st
check out
State.
my yeah, like, "Check out my nipples, dude." Like, and this guy would work out, and I was like, "Man, someone should probably talk to him." And it was me that had to talk to him. I was the boss, right? So you got that fishnet. Like, who would go to the gym wear an open fishnet shirt, right? So you got that. Another time, I have this woman say, "Listen, we got a problem with this lady that's in the that's in the locker room." I said, What's the problem?" She goes, "Well, she's really disgusting." I'm like, "Well, explain how she's disgusting." "Well, here's what she does, Mr. Phillip. She cuts her toenails on the sink in front of the mirror naked." I said, "Gotcha." That's it's the female locker room. You got to get a female to have that conversation. But just envision that, everybody listening. Female, foot on the sink in front of the mirrors, cutting her toenails. So very disgusting. And the last story, that this one, sometimes you get a call on the phone and you like listen to what they say and you're just like, I can't believe I actually have to say a word after they just got done talking. So this member called me up and said, I got a real problem with what's going on at your place of business. And I said, okay, well, explain to me what the problem is. Well, I went in the locker room the other day and there's all these naked people walking around. You got to put a sign up that people should be wearing clothes in there. I'm like, I, I had to take a deep breath. And then I just said, screw it. I said, actually, that's awesome because that's where we want the naked people to be. Can you imagine if they're out in the hallway? I mean, can you believe somebody called me to complain about naked people in the locker room? That's where they're supposed to be. I mean, I get it. Listen, we all know about the ball talk, right? Like, we all know the old guys, they love to talk naked. They love to shave naked. You got some women that love to cut their toenails naked, right? I get it. But it's not the hallway. Jesus, go in the locker room.
If you gotta make it, everybody's got their own level of comfort. And if you're it's the one place in the world where the naked person's level of comfort is the one you take into account, not the dressed person. Like, if you're comfortable being naked in the locker room, like, okay, I'll just turn myself away. As long as you're not putting yourself in between me and my locker, I feel like you got to just deal with whoever is comfortable with whatever they got showing. You're right. There's the guy who wants to chit-chat. I will say the woman cutting her toenails on the sink naked, that's a little too far because that is clearly in everyone's eyesight. But wow, I didn't think this was going to become a locker room talk conversation.
Well, but just think about it, Obi. When you're in the locker room, right? We're guys, right? Like a lot of, especially the female listeners, like they think about the nakedness in their locker room. They think that's bad, but they don't. Like, I don't think, maybe they do. I mean, my wife. I remember when I was young, my wife also works in the industry, and she used to tell me, about the locker room. I'm like, come on, it's naked women. How bad can it be? And she goes, trust me, it's bad. She's like, listen, there's all ages and gravity is real. I'm like, all right, gotcha. I don't need to go in there. But if we go to the men's locker room, I think the difference has to be that, and this is where, we talk about generational differences in the workplace, and we talk about the millennials are lazy or whatever. We won't have to get in that now. But the generational differences are most stark in the locker room. You got that silent generation in the baby boomers, man. They walk around naked. They are brushing their teeth, shaving, butt naked, right? The millennials, those guys, they kind of open their locker, climb in the locker, shut the locker, and come out fully dressed. They're like Superman at the gym, They will not get naked in front of anybody, no matter what. So, Obi, I'm sure you've been sitting down and you had a guy come stand up. And the other thing, you sit down on the bench, they come talk to you. Think about this, right? Visualization. They come talk to you. They don't sit down next to you. They stand in front of you and have a conversation. So what are you looking at the whole conversation?
Hello there, dangly bits.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I've totally had that. I'm not. It's funny because I never thought about what the women's locker room would be like as an adult. Like, as a kid, but as an adult, as a kid, you're like my brother looking at Christmas lights. Whoa! Whoa! But as an adult, and I think about now, and if you think about how many naked men there are, and women around women are usually less discreet than men around men. So for every indiscreet man in a man's locker room, there's probably 2 women cutting their toenails in front of this sink naked.
Well, so I've never been in the women's locker room when there's been women in it because that would get me in trouble. But I will tell you this. I have 2 experiences that you're probably right on. 2 experiences on my life. One is when I worked at Red Lobster, and we talked about this in the Jobs podcast episode. If you want to check that out, it's a very popular one. I cleaned the bathrooms at Red Lobster in the morning after the night shift, and I was amazed as a 16-year-old male how freaking messy and dirty that the women's bathroom was. Right. So I think you're onto something there. That's one. The second, I lived in a fraternity house for 3 years. right? I saw some crazy stuff. I mean, literally cigarette butts on the floor didn't faze me at all, right? I mean, there was a time where freaking the fraternity house dog walked down the stairs in front of me, pissing the whole way down, and all I did was laugh and didn't think about how disgusting it was. I thought it was hilarious, right? So that's where I lived. Yet I visited a friend at her college. She was in a sorority, and I went into her sorority house, and unbelievably messy and dirty. I was blown away. I'm like, why am I attracted to these ladies? This is ridiculous.
It is interesting what we hear, because obviously neither of us are women, but some of the stories I hear about women being women around each other in large groups versus how men are, right? Because we know if there's 3 urinals and you're the first one, you don't go to the middle one. If you're the second guy, you don't go to the middle one. If you're the third guy, you decide how badly you need to go.
Yeah. So again, social cues, Obi. That's a great one, because I think there's probably some people listening to us that don't have those social cues, because we've all been there, right? We've all been in the bathroom, and let's say not 3, because that's all right. Maybe you're an idiot and you don't get it. You think the kids urinal, but let's say we've all been in the urinals where there's 6 of them, and if you get in there first, if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you. You go to either the far left or the far right. Either way, you get to the edge, right? And then the next guy who comes in, he's supposed to go to the opposite edge, right? And then the next guy who comes in is supposed to, at that point, there's only 4 left. You got to pick one on the left or the right side, but not right next. Right? You always have to leave space, and you just keep going that way until you're the guy that has to go next to somebody, right? But I'll be damned if I've never, I've been in a urinal. I've been to the far right, and you wouldn't believe it. Some freaking guy comes and stands right next to me, and those guys are always the ones that want to have a conversation with you.
If they come next to you, of course they want to have a conversation. Why else would they come? Like, usually they're drunk, but sometimes they're sober. And you're like, why are you talking to me? I'll happily have this conversation while we're washing our hands, but not right now, dude.
Have you ever noticed nobody wants to talk to you while you're washing hands, though? It's only while you're at the urinal. Have you ever noticed that, Obi?
No, I'm going to disagree with you on this one, because I've had
really.
I can think of specific times when I've gone into bathrooms with men. Yada 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 yada.
No. That's because you went in with them. I'm talking about you're in there, and you meet a friend. you don't meet. Usually, you don't meet the friend at the sink. You meet them at the urinal, and it's so awkward.
Yeah. If I see, you feel urinal, like I'm not saying anything, but I will say something at the sink. Absolutely, talk.
And Obi, like, it gets to the point where you're at this urinal and this freaking guy's chatting you up. You're like, "Yeah, you want to shake me?" I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know why guys do this. So if you've ever done this, you're anonymous, so you can keep listening to us. Don't feel bad, but change your behaviors. Okay, that's all I need to say.
Yes, it is time for you to behave properly in the bathroom. Give us our space. Give us our silence. And if you'd like to talk to me when I'm washing my hands, I'm okay with that. But wait until I'm washing my hands. Zipped up, washing. And please, if you see me in the bathroom, have the common courtesy to also wash your hands. If you're not a hand washer, I don't want to know. But how embarrassing is it when you don't wash your hands and I saw you not wash your hands?
Great point. I was just going to bring that up. If you're not going to wash first of all, if you're not a hand washer, you should at least get with the program. If there's other people in there witnessing you, wash your freaking hands. All right. That's the first thing. Second of all, if you choose not to wash your hands in the bathroom and I'm in there with you, whatever you do not try to talk to me outside of the bathroom, because the whole time we're talking, I already know you didn't wash your hands and it's just awkward. So those are more tips.
I have a great story about not washing hands. So I just got this new role, new job, go to this meeting. I'm in the bathroom, and out of the stall, the closed-in stall, comes my new boss.
That's the pooper. The pooper.
The pooper. I'm air quoting it here. You'll understand why later. Comes out, walks right by me, and doesn't wash his hands. I'm just like, this is the guy I'm working for. So this
wait, that's your boss? Wait, your boss comes out of the pooper and doesn't wash his hands.
This is my boss. So now this is what I'm thinking this guy for like 3 months. Because this was like a different building than our regular building. 3 months later, I go into that bathroom in that building again. And the urinals are taken. So I go into the pooper. Wouldn't you know it? There's a sink in that pooper. So
yeah, Obi, okay, I get it. Awkward setup, but here's the deal. Listen, we're men. We get it. You walk out of a pooper. I don't give a crap if there's a sink in there. There could be, I don't know. There could be a new sterilization technique going on in there. You walk out and there's somebody else at the sinks. You freaking wash your hands again. I mean, come on. It's not that hard.
Appearance sake, I gotta agree with you. Cleanliness sake, I'm gonna give it to this stall, by the way, is bigger than like my half bath. So if my half bath is clean, then that stall is clean.
But Obi, we live in a world where perception is reality. I don't give a crap how clean you are. By the way, if you're washing your hands, you think I've noticed if you do a good job and you sing the ABCs twice while you're doing it? I don't know.
No, that I don't.
Right? I just know that you got your freaking hands wet. I saw you get your hands wet. You made an attempt at squirting. I don't even know if the soap actually hit your hands. It might have missed it and gone on the counter. I don't even know. I don't even care. All I know is you made an attempt. Exactly. Right? How hard is it? How hard is it?
I'm going to excuse that boss I used to have because I understood what happened there. But in general, I told it, like, you got to fake it. If you're not a hand washer, at least fake it.
I mean, because if you don't even get the social cues that you got to fake it, how big of an ass are you?
Huge ass.
Like that's how you go through life, that oblivious. Like, can you imagine that? Like, if you're the guy who goes into the bathroom and is like, yeah, all these guys are in here, but I'm not going to wash my hands. Just think about the rest of that guy's life. He's a tool. He's probably not successful, right? He probably doesn't have a lot of friends. I mean, just think about that.
Right. You're talking, there is a lot of things that you have to do that you don't want to do just to be a average individual in our society that you're blatantly not doing. Like, you're right. It's amazing because everybody in there knows you didn't wash your hands. And half the people probably are going, I don't usually wash. Some, I don't know. They say 50%, right? So half the people are going, well, if nobody else was in here, I wouldn't wash my hands. But I'm not going to be like Dave. Hell no. I'm washing my hands when people are here.
Right. Because people are going to talk about. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this and you don't wash your hands, we all talk about you. Just so you know that.
We saw it.
We're actually talking about you right now.
Ed and I are both thinking about specific people we work with while telling this story.
Right. So if you pee next to other people, we're talking about you. If you don't wash your hands, we're talking about you. I mean, just think about it. Don't be that guy. It's not that hard.
And if you talk while peeing next to us, we're definitely talking about you.
Oh, and I got another one. And I know this is the workout episode, and we completely screwed that up because now it's
fine.
now it's the pissing episode. But here's the thing. If you, I got another thing. If you go into the urinal, and the ladies, you guys have no idea this stuff happens, but if you go in the urinal and you're next to me or in my line of sight, and I end up seeing both your hands on the wall, what the hell are you doing? Obi, you've seen it. There's guys that put both. They're like, oh, like it's been such a long day. And they got to freaking relax. And they put both hands on the wall in front of them. And they're like, I don't know. They do a little dance, a shake. I don't know. It's crazy. Just imagine that.
Okay. So I've always, when I see that, all I can think about is it must be tiny. So it rests up on the balls completely. Like, that's what I think every time I see that. Like, you don't need to hold it. It must be resting up on your balls. It must be super. That's what I think every time I see that.
You know what? I don't go that deep into what I think. I just think the guy's a freak, man. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, You're that guy's actually worse than the guy that stands next to me and talks to me. The guy who puts, I mean, come on. You walk into a bathroom, you're going to put your hands on the wall. What kind of social signals is that sending to the people in there? That
now, and we are talking to it. Like sometimes you're just like done, and you're just like, oh, I get that. You've had a rough day. It's probably a urinal at work that you're comfortable with, and you put the one hand on the wall and you're just shaking your head. I get that, but you're right. The two hands on the wall. Is your forehead even touching the wall?
And Obi, let's go a step further. For those that haven't used urinals before, and those that have, you know what I'm talking about. There's always boogers on that wall. Like why the hell are you putting your hands there? Like, all right, so I was talking to this guy the other day, like young kids, right? Young kids always want to go to the bathroom. What's the first thing you teach them? Don't touch anything. Do not touch anything, right? And some dude's gonna put his hands on the wall. Come on, or forehead on the wall. You're right. I've seen the forehead too. There's boogers on that wall, man. Don't touch anything. I don't know. This is the stuff that gets me crazy.
The bathroom is a place, and the more public it is, the weirder it can get. Like the bathroom at the park inside is sometimes worse than the bathroom than the porta john next to it. Like, how did that happen? What's going on? I'll take my chances in the blue box with some privacy. And I do like that they now have the squirty things in the blue box.
By the way, the blue box is good because you know what happens when I go in the blue box? I put my hands up against the side and go, oh. But nobody's there to see it, so I get away with it.
Right.
And then I walk out without washing my hands. Screw it. No one knows.
I got a complaint with Rutgers, by the way, in blue boxes. This is really going. I'm not going to go there. We're 30 minutes in. This is as long as we can go. The gym episode turned into the piss episode. I already know what I'm naming this episode. Piss up a gym. Should be good. Get it out there. But I'm Obi Spencer. He's Ed. We're drinking from the garden hose. The podcast can be found wherever you get your podcast, especially on Apple, Spotify. Go ahead, like us, rate us, leave a comment. And remember to always think of us when you're in the bathroom, but don't talk. And anything else?
Well, the charm is that we suck.